Welcome everyone to my video. This little doodle I did is a sort of strange formation of an aquatic type creature. I suppose you could say it's a monster. Speaking of monsters, I might as well talk about some creepy paranormal monsters. Ones that are, well, in the lovely state of Tennessee, because that's where I live. And I feel that Tennessee has some of the scariest supernatural creatures. Starting off with, well, how about Skinned Tom? The legend has it Tom was a handsome man in rural Tennessee who won over nearly every girl in his town. Later, going to other towns to find ladies, he found a beautiful married woman named Eleanor, and the two began seeing one another secretly at the local lovers' lane. Well, doing stuff that a married woman shouldn't do with another man other than her husband. So, eventually, Eleanor's husband finds out, and one night after spying and following the two to the lovers' lane, well, he approached them and skinned Tom. That's right, leaving a pile of mess, which the cops later find is just a bunch of skin. But where was the body? And where was the hunter's knife? And that's what people believe today that he does, is that Tom's body, a gorish skeleton, still roams Lover's Lane with a hunting knife and, just trying to catch couples that are cheating. It's a valuable lesson, I suppose, but if it's real, that's pretty creepy. Next on the list, a well-known paranormal icon, the Bell Witch, or the Bell Witch haunting. It's a legend from Southern folklore centered on the 19th century Bell family of Adams, Tennessee. Alright, in the summer of 1817, a disturbing presence began haunting the family of John Bell. They saw bizarre animals on the property and heard knocking from within and outside the house, chains being dragged through rooms, and all sorts of crazed, slurring, and choking noises. Ugh. After a year, Bell gave his troubles to a neighbor to investigate, and the presence became known as the Bell Witch, and her strength grew with the crowds that came to feel her power, and eventually it was said people would speak to her. Though she never assumed an actual form, many claim to have spoken to her. They say she knew details from the past and future, oddly enough, and could be in two places at once. Her goals were to kill John Bell and stop his youngest daughter from marrying a neighbor. She slowly destroyed his health and the daughter's. After John Bell's death in 1820 and the dissolution of his daughter's engagement, the following year the witch promised to return in 7 years. She kept her word, spending a few weeks with Bell's son in 1828, discussing the past and future. She said there was a reason Bell had to die, but she never revealed her motive. She then said she would return in 107 years, but many think she never left the area because of all the weird things that have happened in the town, always, and the nearby Bell Witch Cave. The entire thing is spooky and just strange. And for our last supernatural monster, it'll be that of White Bluff's very own White Screamer, I guess you could say, or Banshee. So, in the early 1920s, this is a account from a young man in which he had established a small home and farm with his wife and children. Sometimes they would wake up to the sound of blood-curdling screaming. Children would be terrified, along with the wife, confused, And, well, the man couldn't take much more of it because every night it would happen. So eventually, one night, had enough, carried his gun up to the hills, to which the screaming stopped. Turning around to see his cabin, he could hear the screams that had just started from within it. Rushing as quickly as he could back down the hills to his home, the screams had stopped, and the screams were that of his family. Upon entering, he saw a scene that was horribly morbid. His family had been destroyed by this very creature. Their house and their graves can still be found in the hollow of White Bluff. The town itself was a Union Army encampment back in the Civil War. It was intended as a fort in 1806, later becoming that of an iron forge. A few years later, and the firm had grown and included mills and businesses. Quite the booming little town, which quickly spanned out 6 square miles, and visitors are often drawn to the area for places such as like Montgomery Bell State Park. Uh, so yeah, it's pretty scary. There are other accounts of this entity, and some speculate that the White Screamer could be an exotic animal that escaped when a traveling circus was passing through the town long ago. Scared and cautious of the situation, when they could not quickly get the beast back into captivity, I guess, they opted just to leave it and hurry to the next town. Others say this is no early creature that could cause the damage of that the White Screamer, and instead suggest that it is an unearthly apparition that wanders aimlessly. Others say it's a banshee that emits the horrible cries. But in the end, who really knows whether or not these things exist? They are rather terrifying from these stories. And if you've had an encounter with one of these or any supernatural type entity, feel free to leave a comment in the comment section. And, well, if you even haven't, feel free to leave a comment if you want. Like, share, and always feel free to subscribe for more content. Thanks for watching.